Now, what led up to you actually doing hard prison time for marijuana?
Odd prison time. I didn't. What happened is that I jumped bail, and it wasn't exactly hard prison time. It was in Danbury, Connecticut. It was a federal prison, and it was, I guess you could call a medium low security prison, and it was full of mob guys that had been in the penitentiaries or whatever, and they filtered down. And another act of serendipity, when I first went into the reception dorm, was where they put you before they assign you to another dormitory, okay, where you're going to stay for a long time. I actually got a 5-year sentence, and at that time you did 1/3 and you got out on parole, 20 months. So it was the mandatory sentencing was a long way from taking effect until then. And actually, it wasn't a hard prison time. I taught school there, and they assigned me to, ironically, a bunkmate called Carlos Lehder from Colombia. And Carlos was in there for stealing cars and shipping them to South America. All right, not cocaine. But yet, he asked me, what am I doing here? And I told him I was flying pot out of Mexico, da, 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 da. And he said, do you know anything about cocaine? And I didn't. And he said, it costs $60,000 a kilo. And then the wheels in my head began to spin like, at high velocity. And I said, you know what? I know how to get that out of there. And that's how it all began with him. And it was another act of serendipity. And we waited till we got out, and then we went into business. And, then I climbed aboard the starship to hell.
So, Carlos Lehder, he was part of the Medellin cartel.
At that time, there wasn't any Medellin cartel. There was just Carlos Lehder and I, and who later on who I met, Pablo Escobar and a bunch of other people who didn't have a market in the United States, a major market or a major transportation system. And when it all culminated and came together, then, like any business in the world, it became the cartel, like the oil cartel, the banking cartels, whatever. It was just a name, all right? And a group of people who were intent on profit, and pure profit, would stop at nothing to get it.
So, how much did you actually deal with Pablo Escobar back then?
I had only business meetings with him, and I don't know. I don't know if you can equate it in hours or minutes or moments or whatever, but each moment was an intensity unto itself, and it may have seemed like days a moment with him, but I didn't stay there very long. I just my purpose was to get the stuff in there, get the planes in there, and get the merchandise out of there, and market in the United States, and bring back the money or whatever. Because Colombia is a beautiful country, but it was consumed in a violence that was becoming so intense that it was insensible to stay there any long period of time.
Okay, now there was a scene in Blow where you show up. Well, Johnny Depp playing you shows up, and Carlos Escobar just recently executed someone, I guess, for snitching. Did you actually see any of this violence around Pablo Escobar?
Well, there are certain points of the interview that I didn't want to go into, okay? I mean, it happened, whatever, and, the movies are the movies, and what happened is between Pablo and myself, and I don't wish to go there.
Okay. So, at the height of your cocaine business, How much? I guess you were making $15 million per plane load of cocaine. Like, how much money were you making back then?
Well, what I was doing is charging for transportation. We were charging $10,000 a kilo to move it. All right, and some of the marketing happened with another individual in Los Angeles just hooked into the movie and record industry. But if I brought 500 kilos, okay, 10,000 a kilo, it was $5 million a trip. And I was making several trips a week, and then it grew to 1,000 kilos, okay, 10. And how much was I making a week? Was millions and millions of dollars, tax-free.
How much do you think you made the whole time? Was it 100 million?
What do you mean? My entire existence from marijuana to cocaine?
Well, how much did you make just in cocaine, you think? I mean, if you want to combine it, that's fine. But
Okay, well, several hundred million.
several hundred million in cocaine.
Right.
You think you made $1 billion total during your whole
Well, at that
drug
time,
business?
in the economy and the equation of compared to then and now, it was a billion.
Okay, so you made the equivalent of about $1 billion. What do you think? What was the most extravagant thing you did making that much money?
I went to Baskin Robbins.
What does that mean?
The most extravagant thing, it's like, it's all relative and an existentialist question. I mean, what is most extravagant? I just lived my life to the fullest, with the intensity of 1,000 suns and pursued the most beautiful women on the planet and traveled all over the world and had a goddamn good time for myself. And after a while, when you're doing all that and you have total free will, nothing is extravagant. Extravagance becomes normal.